Biden was still here in New York City. What a great crowd today. And for more meetings with world leaders, boy, I wonder what impression they walked away with. And, of course, more fundraisers. But things did not go particularly well for Joey, your president. Take a look.
To say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is a historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good.
I know I'm not supposed to speak again, but my dad used to have an expression. When I was growing up, my father had an expression. My father did not have a college degree, but he was a well-read man, and he worked very hard his whole life. You say, Joe, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about self-respect.
Does that include Hunter's job? I'm just asking. And despite Biden's constant struggles and his bumbling and very low poll numbers, his team is now telling worried Democrats to relax because apparently they believe that by focusing on Donald Trump and abortion, they're going to be able to win easily next year. Excuse me. Anyway, joining us now live in studio, 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy.
Good to see you, Sean.
Man, how are you?
Hey, good to see you. Good to see you.
I've noticed as time has gotten on, you've come under more fire. What do you think that is?
Well, look, I think that it's politics. You have at the start of this race, I was at 0.0% in the polls. Nobody cared about me in the race. Now we're verging on second and third in most national polls. And you're going to run for U.S. president. If you can't handle the heat, you stay out of the kitchen. So I can handle the heat. And my view, Sean, is we talk to all media, left-wing media, right-wing media, no-wing media. If I'm not willing to sit across the table from the people who disagree with me, then I'm not willing to ready to sit across the table from Xi Jinping. Why would you want to sit next
to the jackasses of fake news, CNN or MSDNC? Don't you feel like you're wasting your time? By the way, not many people are watching fake news CNN.
You know, the fact of the matter is there are times when I feel that way, but I'm not running to lead a political party, Sean.
Well,
I'm running to lead a nation.
You want to be watched.
Well, you know what? I think that my view is we have to talk to the people who disagree with us because every time we do it, we show up and we win. You'll remember with Don Lemon, that last interview that he did with me was one of his last ones before he got kicked off the air. So we're doing services through this campaign.
So you got Don Lemon fired.
That's what the New York Times said. Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's very complicated to be a conservative. I think we believe in limited government, lower taxes, more for individual freedom.
Amen.
You know, look at the things we want. We want secure borders. We want law and order, safety and security.
Yes.
Right? We want energy independence. We want constitutionalists on the bench. We believe in peace through strength. And then leave us the hell alone.
That's about right.
It's not that hard.
And you know what, Sean? Here's the real thing in the country. That's not even a Republican versus Democrat idea. Those are basic American ideals. Yeah. I think 80% of this country agrees on the ideals that you just listed. The American dream, the idea that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. I think 80% of people in this country agree on that. And half the 20 are people younger than me who never learned those ideals in the first place. We're going to bring them along, too. And if we do, Sean, I think we can win the 2024 election in a landslide with a multi-ethnic working-class coalition, leave no state left behind, no city left behind. I think that's the opportunity with this failing president, from the economy to the porous border. This is our opportunity. If we have the courage to actually stand up for our own vision, that's how we win.
Deep and profound. The Republican Party has to be the party of working men and women.
Yes.
I believe that. It also has to be the party that brings minorities on board.
Yes. That
have been lied to and, frankly, disappointed regularly by the Democratic Party. They have been failed. The schools are failing.
No doubt about it. I'll tell you an inspiring
they're not keeping them
story.
Safe and secure.
Sean, so I've gone to places like the south side of Chicago or Kensington in the inner city of Philadelphia.
Amazing you didn't get shot.
In this campaign. Well, I mean, I've been to third world countries growing up.
Pathetic.
You go to the third world, you want to where you go to Kensington and Philadelphia today. But here's what I saw on the south side of Chicago. 90% black room, supposedly mostly Democrat. That is a room that fully agreed with me on militarizing the southern border, on ending that border crisis that is impacting their community every bit as much as Republican communities across this country. And so America First includes all Americans. That's what I say.
I agree. Americans should not be suffering under Biden's economy, his idiotic energy plans. We shouldn't have open borders. You know, we need law and order. These are the basics. There's all preventable problems that he caused. Why do you think he chose that path?
Well, look, I want to say something about Biden and why I don't talk about him that much on the campaign trail. I don't even think he's really the one running the country, Sean. I think he is a puppet for the managerial class in the administrative state. And you mark my words, when I'm the nominee, they're not going to let him run against me. It's going to be the next puppet that they trot out. So we have to recognize that this is a broken system. We have to stand up to that managerial class, shut down those three-letter agencies. It's not Biden that's alone the problem. It's the three-letter agencies and the deep state. We have to get in there and shut it down.
But the upper echelon tend to control everything.
The managerial class. And so, yes, there's 25% of people in those agencies who are doing important work. But I think that we have to downsize the government significantly. 75% headcount reduction. That's what I'm bringing to Washington, D.C.
There you go. Vivek Ramaswamy. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.